and welcome to TechNow, the web series for ServiceNow admins, builders, and developers on a wide variety of platform topics. So glad you're here. This is the big one. Well, another big one. This is our Quebec release for the Now platform features. To clarify, we will not be getting into ITSM or CSM or employee workflows. This is the core platform stuff. So if that's what your expectations were, well, we're going to have other content. I mean, maybe not me and Craig and Jeremy, but ServiceNow will have other content about that in the upcoming days and weeks as Quebec gets closer to and shortly after general availability, which will happen in mid-March. So let's get into the introductions real quick because there's lots of Quebec goodness to be had. My name is Chuck Tomasi. I am a senior developer advocate with ServiceNow. Been with the company for about 10 and a half years. I was a customer for a couple before that. And my IT experience goes way back to the Stone Ages with punch cards and Fortran and all kinds of fun stuff. But I love learning. I love exploring. I love sharing. And that's what brings me here today with you to talk about all that stuff. There's more to talk about me, but we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Quebec. And I will then turn it over to Craig Stepp for his introduction.
Hello, everybody. And I am a staff programmer lead for Cloud Labs, and I do all the infrastructure for a lot of the classes you may take at ServiceNow, as well as a lot of the events. I was trying to come up with the word events, like knowledge or the different events that we run throughout the year. I do all the infrastructure on that. I specialize in cloud automation, and I've done in the past a lot of orchestration, a lot of workflow stuff. And, I've been at ServiceNow coming up on 7 years. So I'm into podcasting, photography, and Linux. Not necessarily all in that order, but now on to Jeremy.
All right, thanks, Craig. Hey, folks, I'm Jeremy Duncan, platform architect here at ServiceNow on our workflow design studio team. Spent 16 years in the service management space. 9 of those years I've spent on the ServiceNow platform. I started as a customer 9 years ago, have been in love ever since. Really enjoy being here with you, the audience, much like Chuck, enjoy learning and teaching new things. Just a little bit personal about me. I am a reserve police officer here in the city, so I get to write code and have fun during the day with my day job and then go fight crime at night, and also love camping with my wife and kids. So back over to you, Chuck. Craig, my bad.
Yeah, don't give my job away. Okay, so today's agenda, it's all right. So today's agenda, we're going to take a look at not instance data replication. If you want to see that, go back one episode. What's that?
Who's responsible for these slides anyway?
I don't know. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, Chuck. Anyway, so go back one episode. 82 was about instance data replication. But today we're talking about the Quebec Now platform features, and we're going to go through that. There's not necessarily a demonstration, but a bunch of slides with a lot of good information on it. And just to bring up something else, Chuck
one quick thing before you move on, Craig.
Yes.
Just as we will be doing Q&A at the end of the episode, because there is a lot of content to get through here, and I want to stop every major topic. So if you leave a question, please give us some context. If all you put in the Q&A is that a paid for feature, we're not going to know what that ties to. So please put some context on your questions that will make it easier for us to answer at the end. Or if we don't get to them, we will be answering them after the episode and then posting those online for you in the community. So you got that to look forward to.
That's right. So now Chuck also does a podcast called Breakpoint, and it's a ServiceNow developer podcast, as it says here on the slide. And I think coming up on Wednesday, the February 3rd, he's going to have Andrew Barnes on there, going to talk about Andrew's favorite platform features that are coming up in Quebec. And so we're looking forward to that. It's actually a good podcast, Chuck. You interview other ServiceNow developers, people inside the company, and all over the place. Actually, I think you've done more than that.
We've got customers, we got product managers and developers. So internally facing, externally facing. We've got a whole new series of content planned for Q2. So look forward to that.
Yeah. So, if I listen to it, that's good because I get enough of Chuck outside of anything else. So I got to hear him some more on that. So, hey, and by the way, any of the things that we talk about today, you can check them out. You can go to the developer.servicenow.com site. where you can get a free personal developer instance, early access to releases, which you can get Quebec as of just a few days ago. So you can go get Quebec, try out some of the things that we're talking about today, and see for yourself how fantastic it's going to be. You can there's scripting API, there's all kinds of documentation. So please, go there, blogs, you name it, all over there at the developer.servicenow.com. And it's all, how much does it cost? Oh, it's free. So check it out. So now I'll turn it back over to Chuck.
Oh, you didn't promote next month.
Oh, and next month, we're going to be configuring the Now Platform workspace. So look for that. That'll be on February 23rd. And about the same time as we're doing it today, which is 11 to noon Eastern and 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific.
Here's an easy formula for you, people, about TechNow. Fourth Tuesday. If you want to put that in your calendar, it's always the same day, always the same time. So easy to remember. TechNow Tuesday, fourth Tuesday of each month. We will be taking a little time off in April so that we can ramp up our efforts on Knowledge and CreatorCon. So yes. Real quick, safe harbor notice. I don't think there's anything in here. We are still in early access. It looks like everything that we talk about is in the major release. But just in case the calendar changes, you can't come back and say, hey, wait a minute, they talked about that on TechNow 83 back in January. What happened to blah, 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 blah. That may happen, not likely, but this is our protection. I was corrected. I thought the safe harbor was where you park your safe boats. Not the case. This is completely different. All right, we can still have fun with this podcast, this webinar, right?
No, keep moving.
Tons of fun.
Then let's talk about those long-anticipated 10 minutes we've been waiting to hear about Quebec features. We're going to start with a big one right out of the box, UI Builder. Now, UI Builder, if you watched Live Coding Happy Hour last Friday, you know all about this and how to get started. This is your way to configure those workspace experiences. And speaking of workspace, future reference to next month's TechNow, episode 84 with Mr. Duncan on our staff. Sorry, had to slight mental delay there. It allows you to really configure that. We've had workspace in here since, what was it, Madrid? It's been about 2 years. Yeah. So we've really got the components built up, a library of over 100 components. These are the buttons. These are the widgets. These are the things you put on the form. And it's easy to get started, but yet you can dive in deeper. If you're one of those techno nerds like me that likes to roll up their sleeves and start making tweaks, you can start doing that with the capabilities that are given. I highly encourage you to go watch the Live Coding Happy Hour with Andrew Barnes and Brad Tilton and special guest Gabby. They went through and built a simple list and form configuration with no code. It was wonderful just to get that first experience of exploring that. So this is how we are going to build those experiences in the future. Really modern looking, amazing, easy to configure. Yet you can also put in your custom components. I suspect there's going to be a dozen questions around that one. Oh, I don't know. What was the price tag on there? I'm not sure what the price tag was all about. Oh, it does support domain separated environments. Watch for that price tag in the upper right-hand corner. That's going to tell you it is a feature that comes at either an upgrade or with a particular feature. I'm not sure that belongs on this slide. I don't know what I was thinking in this one, but UI Builder is part of the platform. And you can play with that on your personal developer instance today. But if you have questions about pricing, we're not going to answer them on this webinar. We're going to refer you to your account team so that you can find out what your pricing model is, how much it will cost, et cetera, et cetera. So please don't ask pricing questions here. They won't be answered.
And Chuck, just before we leave UI Builder too far, take a look back at episode 78. Wolfgang went through the Now Experience components, building those out. This starts to tie that together. So UI Builder, Now Experience, making it easier for you, for the low code, for your citizen developers to get into actually building and modifying those components. So check out episode 78. That'll be a great precursor to UI Builder and the Now Experience as well.
The other thing that I found out after talking to Andrew Barnes about this, which will be on the December 3rd breakpoint, is that you can create, with the same URL, you can create different views, if you will, different experiences for different audiences. Think of kind of like view rules as we have with standard lists and forms, but it goes beyond that. So look for that as well. It's going to be a great way to share that experience as well. Okay, data classifications allows you to assign categories to your database fields manually or through APIs, and then easily report on them to ensure regulatory compliance. So the example that I've got is you can identify, say, a phone number field in the sys user table as PII. Why do you care about this? Because then you can actually go through and say, hey, if this is PII, maybe I don't want it to be on a report or exported by Excel or whatever. You can put ACLs and whatnot around there. So this gives you an attribute that you can attach to a field, not as a dictionary attribute, but go into data classification and identify where that protected information is. Quebec also offers some other enhancements to the Now platform, including Office 365 integration to automate your collaboration, embedded help, which is really nice, to the product documentation, and a framework to welcome and guide first-time users to the platform. Think about that with all your new users and how you could possibly cut down on training expenses. Like, hey, this goes beyond just guided tour designer. This is pretty cool stuff. All right. We have been told numerous times that our search could be improved, and maybe not in such kind terms all the time. And it was one of our top challenges reported by our end users, hands down. Well, happy to say that AI search gives people that personalized, relevant, and actionable information that they need right from their search window, and of course has the potential to reduce time spent by searching up to 50%. Let's face it, a lot of us are going out and getting answers ourselves by searching. AI search is native ServiceNow technology. This was done by one of our acquisitions that we came up with recently. As with all acquisitions, I shouldn't say many, all acquisitions, we re-platform that. We put it on the platform to give you that consumer-grade search experience for those end users. In Quebec, it's available throughout the Now platform in service portals, mobile, I'll show you that in a second, and virtual agent. So this is going to give you more like, hey, instead of just searching for email and getting things that have email in the short description, you'll get things that are a lot smarter about that. So I'm not going to show you how to configure that. That is coming up in a future episode, I'm sure. This one is targeted mainly to the process owners and business analysts. So developers, just keep your eye on or radar on about this one. We want you to be aware of it. Process optimization enables a visualization and analysis of process flows based on that data that's hidden in the ServiceNow audit logs. We know where you're going and we know what you do and how long it takes. We're just bringing that to the surface to show you how you can take action based on the process flow to identify potential optimization opportunities. As of Quebec, this one does deserve a price tag because it's part of ITSM Enterprise and CSM Enterprise packages. Virtual Agent, we mentioned it earlier. It's received a number of enhancements in Quebec, such as guided setup, better authoring, and formatting tools. So Virtual Agent also has incident auto resolution, which intercepts issues that can be resolved automatically in Virtual Agent before they get to a human agent. I thought this was pretty cool as a way of doing this. It uses natural language understanding, our NLU stuff that we had for a while, to identify user intents in issues submitted via email or service portal that can be solved by existing Virtual Agent topics. Then it proactively initiates a Virtual Agent conversation. Get that. Virtual Agent comes up, it almost sounds like Clippy in a way, but not as annoying. It proactively initiates that VA conversation with an end user to offer assistance through their preferred messaging channel, which can then be accepted, of course, or declined. I need to make my font a little bigger. My eyes are getting older as we go through these slides. There we go. Okay, we've talked about
the presentation isn't that long for you to age.
I'm getting older every day, aren't you? The NLU, we've talked about it. We've had it for a while. This is our natural language understanding. This is how you put in questions into VA or that kind of thing. Well, the NLU workbench is new. NLU is not. This is an update to our NLU model builder. The workbench replaces the model builder. Quebec features also include a unified view into the NLU models across languages and applications, such as VA, AI search, and so on. Support for, get this, 13 additional languages. Now for a total of 16. Do the math. We had 3 before. Now we have 16. So, whoop, on the languages, don't ask me to name them off the top of my head. You can find those in the release notes and or docs. The ability to add vocabulary sources to be referenced by models. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it sounds really cool. Let's turn to regression framework. This one took me a while to understand because, frankly, as product names go, this one was not on the top of my favorites list. Price tag, again, note that. The regression framework, it uses machine learning to take a given criteria and predict output values. What does that mean? It can be used for things like predicting estimated time to resolution and provide a better user experience. You can take this and say, based on the workload, based on the number of agents currently available and their skills, lots of different ways to do this. Rather than, I'm sure some of you are familiar with the catalog and it says, hey, we estimate it'll take 4 days to deliver your laptop. This will give us a better insight as to how long that might really take. So very cool stuff. If you're talking about customer satisfaction, delivery is one of them. We've all seen this on Amazon. When you order, it could be here today. It could be here tomorrow. It could be here February 17th through 23rd. They give you these estimated times based on their supply chain, based on a number of things. This is a way for you to give that to your internal and external customers too. Again, price tag denotes any professional or enterprise package as part of predictive intelligence. So it's out there. Be aware of it. This is kind of where we're moving, kids, is into the AI and this predictable stuff to make that delivery even better than it was. Another price tag, natural language query. We've talked about this in the past. This is where you can save your end users from reporting backlog, reporting hell, and let them generate some of this stuff. So you can use everyday language to query data and get back lists, values, and charts. NLQ provides you a way to quickly get at your data without creating complex reports or applying numerous filters. And I think this is new to Quebec, at least I'm told it is, you can pin your common queries, save them, kind of like the old filters used to do. Very easy to do. If you look closely at a Quebec instance, at a standard list, you should see a new icon in the upper right by the funnel where you turn on your filters. This will be there also. If it's not, let us know. This feature also supports now German, Japanese, Spanish, and French, 4 new languages for that. And NLQ is available from the list view, as I just mentioned. Report Designer is available with a standard license. A pro license adds the analytics Q&A. So that's what we want to know about that. Performance analytics, still around, been around since like 2014, I think, 13. Yeah, it's maturing nicely. With Quebec, you can now add PA capabilities to your workspace. Ooh, very nice, using UI Builder that we talked about on that very first slide. PA now includes a flexible calendar, which a lot of companies have asked us because their fiscal calendar doesn't match a calendar year. I used to work at a company where the fiscal calendar started October 1st. And that was so fun when it came to configuring software. This will allow us to do that with PA as well. And of course, PA licensing is required to take advantage of these updates. The in-platform reporting, still there. Right? We all know, at least if you've been through some of the basics of system administration, you should know how to crank out a quick report. Well, it's gotten some nice updates as well, including quick calculations on specific fields. Think about that. No more, kind of writing these scripts to write formulas to save to it. You can do it right there. Multiple formatting options and dynamic reports. So I'm looking forward to digging in a little bit more about what each one of these means and providing you with some videos and blog content about that. Mobile. Yes, the native mobile stuff. When did we come out with that? Madrid? Still getting enhancements. So we're heavily invested in this. We recognize it as a way to go forward. Number of updates in mobile. The AI search that I mentioned earlier is also available on mobile to provide that better experience, because it wouldn't be much of a better experience if you couldn't search for things that didn't make sense. You can easily create deep links to third-party apps. Woohoo! I need to make an update to my Jeopardy app now. That's going to be fun. And card actions. We are going to be demonstrating this on an upcoming live coding happy hour. Or now I have to remember what venue we're going to expose that in. But we will have a video shortly on these card actions, so you can approve or reject, for example, right from the card instead of drilling into each record. Now, you could do this with a swipe action, but you could also present this with some buttons right up front, so you don't even have to swipe. There's just like a green check mark and a red X, so you can do that. Make things easier for your end users. They will adopt it even more effectively. And go, hey, this is easy to use. I'm going to do it. So also, there's no more logging out and logging in just to refresh that metadata. I know you had to do that occasionally. Most of the time, it was do that drag from drag the top down. You do a top to bottom swipe and it goes, hey, I'm going to refresh the metadata. Sometimes it didn't always work. This is a lot better at it. You just pull down on that applet launcher page and you get the latest changes. And we do have one thing that's not quite platform aligned. ITBM offers mobile timesheet capabilities too. So for those of you that are doing timesheets, you can do this through mobile now. Hooray! I know that affects a lot of people. Easily create a new timesheet or copy from a previous one. You know what? I worked 8 hours yesterday on this project. I worked 8 hours today on this project. Let's do the same thing. Easy, done. Like I said, make it easy. People will adopt it. The mobile agent app has received some nice updates, and users can save any screen or view to their favorites. Ooh, that's nice. Filtering online or offline. Field service agents now have consumer-grade surveys, again, available online or offline. The knowledge base articles have a native UI, so it's no longer this rendered thing. We actually have like a mobile component that renders them very beautifully, by the way. And the activity stream has been updated to be a little more simplified, provide that modern experience, supporting quick actions like taking a photo and uploading a file, and at mentions. So some of these things that you've seen on the desktop for a while, at mentions, are now available in mobile as well. So cool stuff for the mobile agent app as well. The developer experience, since we are talking to developers, you can now build custom card templates. I mentioned those before, where you had the check mark and the X for doing those on the card actions. You can build custom card templates using the card builder. So before we had like the version 1 and you had about 10 things you could choose from, where I want the number field up there and this down there. Those were really just JSON in the background. We're now providing you a tool to build those layouts. So if you want things that are not from one of the out-of-the-box templates, which serve me about 99 times out of 100, you've got that one case where you need to build a custom card, you can do that. We've got UI rules to give fields additional functionality, like a UI policy. They can hide and show, make mandatory and read-only, that kind of stuff. But they can also conditionally apply field styles and allow field calculations. Ooh, think about that. And finally, we have a way for admins to impersonate users. Yes, thank you. Where's the cheering crowd? All right, I'm going to throw that one in as a gratuitous, because it's going to make testing so much easier. Like when Jane reports a problem on the mobile experience and you don't really have a way to impersonate, we have a way to impersonate now. So I'll try not to do too many sound effects, but I thought that one was well warranted for mobile developers. Technically,
wait till you hit the reverb, okay?
Craig's waiting. All right. Technically, this is not part of the Quebec release, but it gets talked about as part of it because it's on a similar timeline. I'm going to mention it here, and we are going to cover it more in depth on March 23rd as part of that TechNow episode. So hold on to your hats if you want to go deeper into this. It's not available on the PDIs yet either. This is a separate, note to the icon and just next to the price tag, this is from the store. So you're going to see more of this as we go forward in ServiceNow. Instead of waiting for a major release to get an update, or we're going to be releasing some of these things in the store, but you will need Quebec to take advantage of it. App Engine Studio, or AES, is the way to provide a fast, intuitive, low-code visual environment that also empowers not just your low-code developers, your citizen developers, but also your higher tech developers, every skill set really, to be able to build quickly, collaborate, get started on it. Think of this as kind of informally the next generation of Guided App Creator. Guided App Creator is still there. I'll tell you about it in just a sec. It has had some modifications, but this is how you're going to get started quickly creating tables, flows, workspaces, and much more.
I can speak a little bit to this one, Chuck. Actually, being on a team who's working on some of the templates for App Engine Studio, you got a lot of great content coming, templates that you can start with. So in Guided App Creator, you're kind of there with an idea. We make it simple for you to take your idea and build it, like Chuck's karaoke app, right? We guide you through that. But with Studio, you're going to get even more. So if you can imagine how awesome that low code experience was before, now we give you ideas to run with, some templated things that you can start with rather than just having to start from scratch. So great stuff coming. Keep an eye out.
Yeah, templates are going to be a huge thing. I think we've got like 10 in the initial release in March. And you'll see more of these coming out as well. And eventually you'll be able to create your own templates. That's not in Quebec yet, but keep your eye on that and watch your emails for episode 85 of TechNow on March 23rd. So mark your calendars now. See, 4th Tuesday, same time. Woo, we are still cranking through this stuff. I thought this was going to go faster, but there's a lot to talk about. Let's talk about Integration Hub real quick. So first, we've added a new trigger type. This one deserves another applause. You can now trigger off of an incoming REST API trigger. No more manually creating a scripted REST API just to call a flow or subflow. We've got another one called Remote Process Synchronization, or RPS, if you hear that term coming up. It's a new framework for doing bidirectional process integration. Some may call it e-bonding. And it's focused on executing cross-system workflow. Now, in Quebec, we support one-to-many ServiceNow to ServiceNow instances within the same customer or between different customers. This is not the same as instance data replication that we covered last month. Instance data replication is take this table, send it over here, or make it available to these other instances. This is a little deeper than this. And we'll discuss RPS in a future episode. So stick with us. There's a lot to cover in here. We've also created a new modern UX for codeless ETL, which stands for extract, transform, and load. This is just another fancy word for data interchange that supports end-to-end import and data stream actions to a single target table. So that's what that final bullet item means. If you want to know more about that, I'm sure we can answer some questions on that later. A few more Integration Hub enhancements that are worth mentioning. Data streams now support JDBC, not just REST and SOAP as they did previously. So if you've got a JDBC database out there with 100,000 records, you can get them in a paginated format. So that's what data streams are great for. Lots and lots of data. Because if you just say, hey, I want to query 300 million records, it's probably going to time out on you before it even gets done processing that sucker. Okay. You can transfer one or more files to your instance with SFTP. That wasn't possible before, but it's really cool now. You can do that. And I played around with that and I said, that's fun. If you need to add a specific mid server, rather than choosing it from a pool, you can add a specific mid server to a specific integration. Say, this must go through this route. Again, price tag noted, Integration Hub is an add-on licensed product. Disclaimer, we will not be talking about any pricing information here other than, hey, talk to your account team. Okay, Flow Designer. Lots to talk about Flow Designer. Behind the scenes, we've made many improvements to security and performance, but you don't really care about that as long as it runs well, right? We don't have a whole lot of details. You'll also notice, what you will notice is that the UI has been cleaned up so that it aligns better with other areas of ServiceNow. You saw AES briefly as a screenshot. That kind of set the tone. You've seen workspaces. Well, Flow is now more in that same theme, I'm going to call it. I want to give you some close-up shots on this, though, because the UI has changed a little bit. We've got this guided start. Before, when you went into Flow Designer, hey, boom, here's your flow. Deal with it. What's your triggers? What's your actions? This explains and gives you a tour and points you, says, this is a trigger. How do you want to start this flow? Here are your actions. You can pick actions or logic or subflows. If you've done Flow Designer before, this is great. If you haven't, it's even greater. You'll be able to start easier. I know a lot of developers out there are saying, I'd really like to start Flow Designer. I haven't taken a look yet. This will make it easier for you. Little closer look. Metadata like the application and status have been moved from the header, where it was getting a little crowded, to the footer. This also aligns a little more with Studio. I'm working on this flow. It's version 3. You kind of get the idea. Buttons are more accessible to a citizen developer, so easier to find, easier to pick. The data pill picker is now styled more like the Now Experience apps that we talked about, and you'll see more of in the future. There's an active status indicator next to the properties at the top. Just pointing that out because it's very subtle that you go, oh, it's active. Did I publish it? Did I not publish it? Is it in? Much easier to see there. White space has been removed to give the appearance a little cleaner appearance to that. You'll see that as you start to build out your flows. The data panel I find is much easier to read, and the step picker in the Action Designer is also a little bit cleaner. So just some cleaning up stuff. We needed to do some housekeeping on Flow Designer. The Action Picker now includes 2 new features. You can see them there in the little blowout window. Most recent, which are your most recent actions. So what have I been using lately? Great way to, I don't know how many times I go to update or creator update record, but it's one of my most popular. So that'd be probably one of the most recent. And most popular, or excuse me, the popular one with the star is everyone's most popular actions. So what are my colleagues doing? What are the most popular ones that are being used in here? But you have to take a note that the popular option doesn't update in real time for performance reasons. It updates on a scheduled basis. And I forgot what it is offhand, if it's daily or every 6 hours, whatever it was. But if you keep picking something and go, why isn't it showing up? Why isn't it showing up? It will.
Well, popular may also not be appropriate for what you're doing too. So just keep that in mind.
True. There is a new section on the data panel labeled flow variables. Huge stuff here, kids. These are variables you can set and access throughout the flow. And for those that remember the legacy workflow, these are your replacement for the workflow scratchpad variables. So let go of that umbilical, as I said to Andrew Barnes on our discussion the other day. It is time to move to Flow Designer. If you've got another reason for hanging on to the legacy workflow, I'd love to hear it. Please let us know. But this is huge because now you have variables that will persist. You can access them either from the data pill picker or through script if you use that FX button. But this is a big one. It's right at the top. We love it so much. I have to go through my brain and my former use cases to find a use case where I would put these in, but I'm sure I will find one soon enough. The indentation depth. And I know some of you write flows like I do. You have them 5, 6, 10 levels deep with an if and a for each and another if and a do while inside there. The depth is denoted on the left panel by shading. So the deeper you go, the darker it gets, which sounds really foreboding, but you can't really see it all that well here. But 4 and 6 get a little bit deeper. You can see the twisty triangles, so you can expand and collapse them, but they are slightly darker gray than, say, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, to give you a little bit of a topology kind of thing going on, analogy.
Yeah. How deep is the ocean here? There's a new action in Flow Designer for a record producer. I think this is just awesome because when I was a customer and I started out with record producers, I was amazed. This was like back in 2008. This is my huge takeaway because they gave that user experience rather than here's a form with 15 fields on it. You could say here's a form with 3 fields to get us started. And now you can bring that into Flow Designer because you may have something like a new employee onboarding where they need a record created through a record producer that you've already built. It will adjust the variables in context. So when I pick the record producer action and say, I want the create incident, it will say, yep, that one's got 2 variables. Here they are. These are the types. This is how you use it. Put the data pills in here how you want. So very, very handy for using record producers in a workflow. You normally think, since it's part of the catalog, it would go the other way around. You would attach a flow to the record producer, but now you can play this game both ways. And when you launch a new subflow, you have the option for the parent flow to wait for, or not, to wait for the completion of the subflow. You can either run it in parallel or say, hold on, wait until the subflow is done. It may contain tasks that need to be done, and you don't want to move on automatically. So simple checkbox that says, wait for completion, and you're on your way. So a little more control for you. You can also send a notification directly from the notifications table. I like to keep all of my notifications, whether it's legacy workflow or flow designer or whatever, in that notifications table. Makes it much easier. Just have to note that the trigger on those notifications, it normally says when record is inserted or updated, or it says triggered by event. There is an option that says triggered. Not intuitive in my opinion, but that's the setting that will make it selectable in workflow, or excuse me, flow designer. So those are the ones that will show up. If you go, where's my notification? Where's my notification? Check and make sure that it's triggered, that it says send when in that section. It says triggered is set to that. So triggered, that's your mental note for notifications. Something else cool about email, since we're on that topic, is we've made processing of email replies more flexible. No more comma separated entities or entries in the single system property. Some of you have gone to this email properties page and it says, here's a reply, because if you were like me when you were an early customer and you forgot about this setting or didn't know about it, you'd see reply after reply after reply in email, and your activity history is getting longer and longer and longer because it's including all those replies. And somebody says, well, just put a \n reply to here, and they get truncated. All you see is the body of the latest message go into your activity history. That was great, except we realized that a lot of customers have more than just Outlook out there, and you need to put multiple things in there. And the comma separated properties just wasn't cutting it. So we've now got a separate table. That property has been deprecated. We're not going to pay attention to it anymore. But when you upgrade to Quebec, you will automatically get a table with at least 2 entries in here. I think it is these 2 for Outlook and Gmail. Notice that you can put in regular expressions as well. So now you've got ultimate flexibility. If you're not comfortable with regular expressions, hey, boy, howdy, we've got a couple of, I think it was TechNow episodes in the 30s that I did some regular expressions for you.
1930s? Oh, the number 30s.
That's about how old TechNow is. Yeah. But I still remember the internet meme that says, I used to have a problem, so I used a regular expression. Now I have 2 problems.
That's right.
They're not for the faint of heart, kid, but they are really powerful. Okay. Quebec also introduces the concept of notification common content. If you're like me, you have the same body and subject in an email as you do in a Slack message, as you do it. And it's like, why am I copying and pasting this all over the place? This is a new common framework that allows you to reuse the same generic content as this short text and long text. Notice it's not called short description and description. This is generic, so they can be applied to email, virtual agent, workspace notifications, and more in the future. So watch for that. Just another way of centralizing your content to make it easier to manage. All right. I think I might have to pick up the pace, or we're not going to have any QA time. App customization, huge one here. Quebec offers you a single solution now to customize all of your apps. Scoped apps, we've been able to maintain in Studio, including source control for quite some time, since I think Fuji, maybe Geneva, if you want to talk about that. With Paris, we added the support for the global apps using source control, that sort of thing. Now with Quebec, you can configure and customize the ServiceNow out-of-the-box apps and store apps in Studio. So you'll see a new button when you go into Studio. It says select store from app. And huge benefit there, because depth to update sets, in my opinion, is a good thing. Take a note, though, not all apps are going to be editable in Studio this way. It's up to the publisher to determine whether or not you can or cannot do this. So just because you go, yay, I can now modify, HR case. Maybe not. You got to check. When you do this and you publish it through the app repo, you'll see not only the vendor version that says, hey, Chuck came out with Jeopardy 1.0, let's say. And you say, I want to customize it. I'll make mine 1.01. That's where you do it. And then when you install it, you will see the base version on the right. You'll see your customized version on the left. It will guide you to the right base version. But if you've got a compulsion for being an anarchist, you can always apply your customized version to something that may not align, and you're in charge of the consequences of what happens there. If you're just adding a field, cool, go for it. Dev at scale. We've streamlined your CI/CD pipeline, so now we've introduced an API to install, monitor, and roll back your changes in batches. No need to make those individual API calls for each change. You simply provide an array of parameters in the payload. Script tracer, another big one. This one gets a, what are we going to do? A Mario coin on that one. Big help here. If you're like me and you come back to your project 6 months later, or you've inherited somebody else's project, you don't really know how you got this record updated. Sure, you could try turning on business rules, debug business rules if it's there, but it may not be updated through a business rule. You can turn on the script tracer and say, let's go perform that operation and see the context and see the actual scripts that were run. This is server-side only, but you'll now be taken right to the line that says, go update this record, and helps you backtrack and go, oh, this was called from this script include, and this script include was called from this UI action, and this UI, you get the idea of how that was put together. Huge step forward. This is available from the script debugger window. You can see there's script tracer, script debugging, and your session log are all on there. So I suspect a few more of you are going to be using the debugger window now. You can do a health scan. So really excited to announce that you can give your instance this checkup, as it were, to identify any potential performance, security, upgrade issues that are lingering there. Anytime you need to, the instance scan is part of your development operations or release management or pre or post upgrade. It does come with some predefined checks, and of course, you can always add your own if you like to ensure best practices are being followed in your organization. Just a quick historical note. This feature has actually been evolving behind the scenes since about 2012. I was involved with an early version of this in like a JavaScript format. We actually went onto customer instances and ran a series of scripts. So
yes, I've done that myself a few times. Yep. Config checks or health checks, or what did we used to call them? I forgot. But now it's available to you. Check your account team for that one as well. Few changes to Guided App Creator. I did note that AES has changed things. First, this is an odd one that I thought was a little late in coming. If you navigate to sys under app.list, it will show you all the applications that you've currently got in development. But if you click new, it would take you to the old situation where it says, do you want to start from scratch? Do you want to start from a template? Do you want to start from a service? Like that was like outdated about 4 releases ago. Now it finally takes you to Guided App Creator when you click new. Very bizarre. Workspaces have been removed. You can see the screenshot here is just mobile and classic. That was creating a older data model, an older model of workspaces. Those are not created here. They're created through AES. So go through App Engine Studio to do that in the future. And Studio now provides external CI/CD integrations for Azure, Jenkins, GitLab pipelines, and GitHub Actions. So a number of things to enhance the DevOps side of things through Studio. Wow. I didn't think we were done already, but we are. So that went faster than I thought. Wow.
Top takeaways for Quebec. You can do some simple configuration with UI Builder. Keep an eye out for that. Start experimenting with it. Get familiar with it. Do that script tracer thing and have some, again, experimentation on your PDI is a great thing. Go just turn it on, say, update this incident, and watch what happens. You will be amazed at how many times a record can be touched with a simple record update. And of course, point number 3, you can now use Studio for all apps. That one is that was near and dear to my heart. Quick reference information, docs, of course. We've got the Quebec docs up there now. So if you go to docs.servicenow.com, you'll find that information. The community, if you've got questions, developer portal for ongoing videos and blogs about the developer perspective on a lot of these platform features. We've got the bit.ly link there for many, many, many previous episodes. I think 83 of them now in the archive. Actually, there's 2 bonus ones from Knowledge 17 that are in there as well. You can find those. And I say we start doing questions and answers. And if we don't get to your question, I see there's about 76 unanswered questions in there right now. So sure, we're not going to get all those.
Fast.
10 minutes, but let's see what we can get. Jeremy, Craig, what do you got? Live fire time.
Yeah. So has the React framework been introduced in Quebec?
No.
Yes. Okay.
Next question.
Um,
So now you're referring to the Now Experience or possibly Service Portal. Service Portal is still based on AngularJS. Now Experience is based on a web component technology, but it is our technology. And if you know Node.js, you should have no problem adopting this. We're purposely, this came up, I think, with Wolfgang's session earlier as well. We're not moving to a specific technology. So clear your mind of when will we get React? You won't, because we've already hitched our wagon to Jelly and got burned by that. It's a legacy technology. It creates technical debt. We've been burned by Angular. It was abandoned by Google. Now what do? It's not moving forward. There's not really an upgrade path. So we said we need to insulate our customer base and our partners from technical debt. So when you build this UI, whatever ServiceNow does under the hood, whether it's React or Chipmunk, or I'm making up names now, but if it comes up with some new technology, you don't have to rewrite all those components again for another user experience. That's the beauty of it. So,
and if you check out next month's episode, shameless plug here, but I will cover a little bit on that web components piece and try to bring a little bit of understanding. And Chuck, thank you, about why we didn't hitch our wagon. You'll see React, you'll see some things, but it's based on a library of technologies being that web component. So we'll go into that a little bit next month as well. So stay tuned.
Yeah. I see several questions about Flow Designer. And I'm going to try and wrap them up in a couple of questions. So one, somebody had suggested or took what you said, Chuck, and was asking, is it that we should stop using workflow and move over to Flow altogether, or even migrate over? Because most of the features are, as a feature parity by now, or even Flow Designer's probably got a little more leg up at this point, right?
Sure. Great question. It comes up all the time because we have a new technology that supersedes an old one. There is no click a button and you're migrated from legacy workflow to Flow Designer. Sorry, they're completely different technologies under the hood. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're all ServiceNow platform, but it's not like you can just click a button and make it go. So apologies for that. My suggestion at this point, if you're maintaining legacy workflows, continue to maintain them in workflow. If you've got a new opportunity to create a new workflow, don't create it in the legacy workflow. That's a bit like starting a program in COBOL right now. It's going to be harder to maintain.
I mean, not that bad, but yes.
Okay. It's old. It's getting outdated, right. And it's not getting any love, any maintenance. Whereas Flow Designer, you can see we continue to upgrade it through every release at this point for the last 3 years. So start new flows, start new business rules, start new scheduled jobs, start new incoming scripted REST APIs on Flow Designer, and you will be further ahead. You will really thank yourself. It's one of those things where you, like Craig has to do to me a number of times, push me into the new technology, and I go, thank you. In retrospect, I was an idiot. So,
well,
don't just hold on.
That's a light way of putting it. Yeah. Now, so in that vein, of course, I saw another question asking, can you convert, or can a workflow call orchestration activities? Which no, you cannot. You can potentially kick off a workflow, but not necessarily talk to workflow activities per se. And then where was the other one? There was another good point.
Yes, you can call a workflow from a flow. So you could trigger a flow based on a record update or schedule or whatever, and make use of those legacy workflows. So if you're like, this does one thing and one thing only, it does it really well, and I don't want to spend the time to rebuild it, go ahead and call it. It's fine.
Now, the last question here is, someone had asked, in Flow Designer, it's not really good for loopbacks. Like a workflow, you could, when there's a request, like a change request rejection, as an example. He was asking will that be addressed in flows in the future? I assume something like that would be.
So it's on the radar. I've talked to Jake Berman about this a number of times. It is on the radar. I don't know when it will be implemented. If I did, I couldn't tell you anyway. But I should make a T-shirt out of this. Stop thinking as flow designer as the next workflow. Most of the workflows that I've seen in the legacy workflow have been big monolithic things that handle a process from end to end. No, wrong. Don't do that in flow designer. You're just going to make headaches for yourself.
That's true.
They are small triggered components. Think of them more as business rules. Okay? You don't run a business rule that's always running, right? You run it to trigger at a certain time. Business rules are based off of database operations, insert, create, update, read, and flows are the same way, but they have different kinds of triggers, catalog items, you name it. They're out there. But there are smaller specialized things. In fact, if I get a flow that's kind of off the screen, I start thinking to myself, maybe I should be building some subflows to help this thing out, or maybe I should be making multiple flows. So rollbacks don't become as critical if you think of them as small specialized components that run at discrete times during the process. Hey, it's time for that approval. Let's trigger an approval. Let's find out if the approval passed. If it didn't, let's reset the state. Things like that are pretty straightforward. Then you can component piece that thing together.
Yeah, and also if you have a complex workflow, it's much harder to nail down what you need to change as opposed to like a flow that has a specific purpose and you go, it's a smaller, like you said, a smaller function. You can go, oh, well, that's exactly where I need to go. Kind of like, I know we run out of time, but like in Linux, all those utilities, they're great because a lot of them have simple functions and they don't do like this complex stuff, just one little special thing.
Right. And you can chain them together.
Yep. You can chain them together.
So we got quite a few questions around Studio, Chuck. So as you know, you pop open Studio, you see some applications that are there that you can load, take a look at, things that were built in Studio before. So the question is really around, one, can you use Studio for all apps, right? Custom and out of box, right? And are update sets going to go away? And the question ends with, please say yes.
I'm going to answer the second one first. Update sets are not going away. Just like a lot of technologies that we have out there, we don't take it off the platform and go, there, no more using that. Yeah. That would potentially break some people's processes. And to be honest, there are times when you just want to send, I'll send Craig a patch or Jeremy sends me an application in an update set. Obviously, I could also get it from a repo, a GitHub repo that's public. That would be easier and nicer, and we could collaborate a little bit better. But update sets, I think, will still have a smaller role in development going forward. We're not going to take them away, just like we didn't take the legacy workflow away, just like CMS is still out there when Service Portal came along. Service Portal's still out there when Workspaces came along. So it's not going away. Can you edit and change anything? That's the direction we're moving in. With the addition of Quebec to do those applications that are out of box and store-bought, yes, asterisk. The publisher has to make that available to you. The quick test that I did, I went, oh, great, let's go see if we can open up CSM. And it said, no, you can't, because now I don't know if the plan when we get closer to GA is to flip the switch on a lot of those. But if you go into the sys under app record, there is a field, and it will probably be read-only if it's not your app, that will say, do I allow modifications? Do I allow customization? I forget what the exact wording is. You'll find it. And I think it's like customization enabled. That's what allows you to do that thing in Studio and say, great, now I can add fields and I can put a flow on here and change the ACLs and so on and so forth. So yes, we've got global apps now. Okay, we've had that since Paris. We've got scoped apps, which have been since scoped apps were invented in 2015, 14, whatever it was. And now we've got that ability to start managing in Studio those custom or the out-of-box and store apps. Okay, I think we can do a couple more.
And if we don't get to your question today on the webcam, the webinar here, we will answer them back in the community, so you will get a chance to get an answer from us.
Oh, here's a good one. So Rory asks, script tracer seems awesome. Will it provide visibility into the ServiceNow server scripts that are not exposed to us?
You mean like, will it drill into the Java APIs? like glide record?
Yeah, I would say so server side, so scripts that we're not allowed to modify as customers, right? So
Sure.
Main would have access. Now, having visibility is one thing, but being able to modify might be the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And if it is a script include, for example, you can always do an extension of that class and override those methods if you want.
That's true.
That's a possibility as well. So it will show you, I forget which one it was. It was like the task SLA management stuff. It might be read only to you when you go into that script include and say, well, I can't really put a breakpoint or anything. But yes, it will show you what is running at the scripting level. It's a script tracer. But it won't go into, here's what, it gets down to that, here's your gr.update. And you're not going to see what update actually does behind the scenes, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think one other question related to that was they were wondering if it would reflect on scripts that were made pre-Quebec, which I think pretty much the answer is yes. It doesn't have to be a script that's created in Quebec. It's just going to show you performance of things that are running in the system at any point.
All right, I'm looking at the clock. We do need to wrap this up. Thank you, everybody who showed up and watched this live. If you didn't watch it live, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait until March before this goes public. But send me a link. Send me an email if you want the link. I'll send you the unlisted YouTube link, and we'll go from there. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Jeremy, for managing the Q&A.
Thank you, Chuck.
Forward. We've got a lot of post-production work to go. And we will see you again here on February 23rd, where Jeremy's going to tell you all about workspace configuration. Looking forward to that so much. Until then, take care, be safe, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.